Hey guys, welcome back. Today, my friends, today I have a behemoth of a Halo Reach mod showcase. On today's mod menu, a menu so big that Gordon Ramsay refuses to eat from it, we have 7 items. We have custom firefight maps, custom vehicles, a cursed GUTA, 2 custom campaign mods, and more. So, as per usual with these videos, if you enjoy them, then please don't hesitate to leave a like, a comment, and if you're new around here and you want to see more videos like this, alongside of course my regular content, then maybe subscribe as well. But let's leave the cliche YouTuber intros at the door and kick this bad boy off. Firstly today, we have a group of 2 mods that I really hope will be the first of many like them. Custom firefight maps. The first of these is called Array Outpost 69. Created by Clawzo, a Forge firefight map that's made, as you can see, on Forge World. The map itself is, as the name implies, a satellite array outpost that you've been ordered to defend from a Covenant onslaught. It's packed full of small rooms, vantage points, open areas, vehicles, weapons, and more. And to say it was designed in Forge with relatively primitive Forge tools, it's actually pretty damn good. Now, I will say, this isn't technically firefight because there's no score system, but it plays just like regular firefight. The Covenant spawn below spirits, in caves and from high up mountain passes, and assault you from all angles, and it's your job to hunker down and defend the base by whatever means necessary. You can do this, of course, from land, using either small arms or the plethora of vehicles scattered around, or by air, using the Falcon that's stationed on the helipad. Now, I'm not gonna lie, flying around a really small map like this and gunning down hordes of Covenant with a Falcon cannon is oddly satisfying. I cannot recommend it enough. However, because it's a custom map with custom structures, the Covenant's pathing isn't always quite there. Like, I found a squad here just aimlessly running into a wall before, of course, I sent them to the afterlife. But when the pathing works and when the AI work as intended, it's really fun. There's even a fusion coil launcher. I mean, come on, look at this thing. Does it really get any better than that? Well, let's find out. The second custom map is called Outskirts, also created by Clawzo. It's a small district that for some reason is being assaulted by hordes of Covenant. Again, they spawn beneath spirits in front of the town or from the caves on either side of it. But this map is a lot more claustrophobic than Array. Like, I often found myself fighting through small rooms and houses, being hunted down by hunters and skirmishers with nowhere to run. This map really is quite different to most of the firefight maps, just in purely how close quarters it is. Like, you'll often find yourself getting backed up into a corner if you stick to the lower levels. However, if you choose to avoid that and go to the high ground, and take the high ground as a famous man once said, you can either snipe the Covenant or just sit there and wait for them to find their way to you. However long that'll end up taking. Just make sure you watch out for the hunters. They were a real thorn in my side on this map. Oh, yeah, and also, this Scorpion might look useful. I promise you, it isn't. Don't fall for its lies. But yeah, give these maps a try. As with all the mods in this video, the link to download them and all the others can be found in the description. And fingers crossed, these maps are the beginning of a bright future for custom firefight. All I'm going to ask for is the Flood. Flood firefight, please. So, what I'm about to show you is highly classified. After the Covenant managed to tame the GUTA, Oni ramped up R&D for a GUTA superweapon, their very own nemesis project, and what they created is a nightmare of the darkest mind. This is the GUNTA. As you can see, it is quite literally a GUTA with a Scorpion turret stuck to its head that is also able to be driven and of course shot. Revolutionary, I know. How Oni managed to create such a weapon of war will be lost on even the most intelligent of our kind for decades, even centuries to come. But what'll confuse people even more, and for even longer, is where they got the name GUNTA from. Surely GUTANK would have been better? Actually, you know what? I think it's better not to question it. These monstrosities are reserved for only the most difficult of operations. Should a group of insurrectionists get a hold of some scorpions? Then out comes the GUTA, and away go the scorpions. Should the Covenant deploy 100 elite ultras to Noble 6's highly classified cave? Well, out comes the GUTA, and in no time, those ultra split jaws will be 6 feet under. Spartans? Easy. Hunters? Piece of cake. There really is no foe too great for this incredibly groundbreaking piece of equipment. Well, aside from heights. It turns out the GUNTers aren't a fan of heights. Water too. Okay, so I think after witnessing Oni's newest abomination, we need to sort of cleanse our systems a little bit. And luckily for us, Audible are sponsoring today's video so we can cleanse away with some iconic Halo audiobooks. Just go to audible.com/HiddenXperia, or if you're in the US, text HiddenXperia to 500 to start your 30-day free Audible trial today, and choose 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals to keep forever for free. Now, given that it's the year of Halo Infinite, a game set on Zeta Halo, a Halo ring steeped in deep lore, I highly suggest checking out the Forerunner trilogy, Cryptum, Primordium, and Silentium, all of which are on Audible. These audiobooks will give you the full backstory of what is easily the most interesting Halo in the run-up to Infinite. Or, instead, if you're still very much in a Reach mood, then check out The Fall of Reach, the original telling of Reach's downfall. The best thing about Audible is that not only do they have the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, you can also listen to them and get up to date on your Halo lore at home, on the go, at work, or even while you're playing Halo. And if you happen to not like an audiobook that you get, then, well, you can easily exchange it for another to keep forever along with the rest of your library, even if you cancel. So go to audible.com/HiddenXperia, or if you're in the US, text HiddenXperia to 500 and start your Audible free trial today, and get up to date on all of your Halo lore in the run-up to Halo Infinite. Now, this, I'm pretty sure, is actually my favourite Reach mod so far. Halo Reach Evolved by the Vengeful Vadam. It's a massive campaign overhaul that aims to make Reach more in line with the original Halo trilogy, from a sandbox standpoint, an enemy standpoint, an encounter standpoint, a vehicle standpoint, and just about every point you can stand on. Now, to go through every single change and addition that Vadam's made to Reach in this mod would frankly take hours, so today we're going to go through some of the highlights, starting off with the weapons. Now, the most obvious change here is the view model, I think. The weapon is more centered on the screen to not only bring it more in line with how CE's view models were, but to also make it so having a centered crosshair doesn't mean that half your screen is taken up by the weapon. The assault rifle is now basically a combat evolved assault rifle. 60 rounds in a mag, fires at 15 rounds per second, and has a controllable bloom, so if you want, you can pulse the trigger at range and still be effective. This thing is incredibly satisfying to use, and it is a night and day improvement over the original Reach AR. Just further proof that no game has ever managed to do the assault rifle as well as Combat Evolved. The MA5B is still king. The DMR is now a battle rifle and functions exactly as a battle rifle would function, and it even comes complete with a Halo Reach beta inspired green ammo counter, which honestly is a really nice little detail. The Magnum is now a prototype M6D and again functions just like it. The sniper rifle now once again has the fire rate of Combat Evolved and 2, and the rocket launcher is now able to be locked onto ground vehicles as well as air vehicles. The needle rifle is now more of a marksman rifle type weapon, so it fires slower, has less ammo in a magazine, but does much more damage, and now it's actually useful, unlike how it was before. Like the other weapons as well, it is infinitely more fun to use, and going back to the original one after using this is gonna be painful, I'm not gonna lie. The plasma rifle has been basically converted into its CE counterpart in almost every way, even colour, and it shows up a lot more often in the campaign as well. Very fun to use. The plasma repeater is now called the plasma spate and fires in a 5-round burst with a slight damage buff, and it also has a brother, the brute plasma spate, which, like always, deals more damage but overheats faster. And speaking of brute weapons, the Spiker has now been totally redone, Now called the Eviscerator, it's an automatic spike shotgun that is so damn fun to use. This thing shreds enemies of like all size and strength with ease. I absolutely love it. The Concussion Rifle is now a Brute exclusive weapon and deals 50% more damage, making it far more lethal, as you can see. And instead of the Concussion Rifle, the Elites now have a prototype version of the Plasma Caster that works just like the Plasma Caster in Halo 5, and to good effect as well. Props to Verdammt for being able to recreate this. The Fuel Rod is now basically the CE version, which I like to refer to as the Chad Fuel Rod gun. It operates off a battery, which means that it can now overheat instead of using a clip, and it also has a purple finish as opposed to gold, which, in my opinion, does look a lot nicer. Then there's the really, really cool new vehicle, the Apparition. The Apparition replaces the Revenant, which, in my opinion, and please don't roast me for this, was a pretty boring vehicle, but the Apparition changes that. Instead of a weak beta Wraith Mortar, it instead has a Covenant Flamethrower that spits blue flames at the enemy, quite literally melting through infantry and doing tons of damage to vehicles as well. I absolutely love this thing. Strafing past squads of Covenant and just toasting them is so damn fun, and honestly, I prefer this thing night and day over the Revenant. The Beta Revenant versus the Chad Apparition. But the changes don't end there. Even the enemies involved are different too. Some of the grunts now have shields and different armor sets, and the elite's armors have been modified to fit a more classic aesthetic, with fewer variations in the actual armor itself and instead more diverse color schemes. Again, this is to bring the game back more in line with the aesthetic choices of the original trilogy, notably Combat Evolved. I like it personally. I can see how some people may not like it, but I like the more simplistic approach. As much as I like new elite armors, I like the simplistic approach of colour, diversifying them between the ranks. Overall, Halo Reach Evolved is such an enjoyable experience, one that I, myself, genuinely prefer to the vanilla Reach experience. Like, for real, I think Evolved is legit more fun from a sandbox perspective than original Reach. All the weapons are far more fun to use, the enemies are far more fun to fight, and everything just seems a bit more varied and mixed up. I don't know, maybe it's because it's new and I've been playing Reach's campaign vanilla for like almost 10 years now, but it just seems to make Reach's sandbox, the weapon sandbox in particular, so much more interesting to play around with and mess around with. That's one of the things that I feel like you could never do with original Reach. There was not really much messing around with weirder weapons, whereas now with Evolved, you absolutely can do. Definitely give this mod a shot if you can. I can assure you, you will love it. Major props to Verdammt for making this. I'm so happy that I finally get to cover it in a video. It's been a very long time coming. Okay, so this next mod is something that I'm only going to briefly cover because, I mean, it doesn't need much explaining. This is the Halo Reach Forge Collection 2.0, the absolute perfect mod for your next Halo Reach game night. I'd even go as far as saying that it's a lifesaver when it comes to game nights. Included within this mod are over 500 custom maps and game types, all retrieved from original Reach, including all the classics from back in the day, along with others that you might not have heard of. All, and I repeat, all, with their corresponding game types and also ordered by game type, so they're easier to find in MCC's god-awful customs UI. To install these maps, it's so easy. It's literally just a drag and drop thing. So go to your MCC folder, open the Halo Reach folder, open the Forge Collection download, and literally just drag and drop the game variants and map variants folders into the Halo Reach folder, and you're done. Easy as that. So thank you very much to Latexan for compiling all these maps and game types together. I imagine that this must have taken a very long time. Your deeds will never be forgotten, my friend. So yeah, download this mod, and next game night, you'll be drowning in options. Okay, this mod is one that needs absolutely no introduction. Role Reversal, Covenant vs Humans by Bob Dole Owned You, or, as I like to call it, the GRUNT campaign. No, your eyes do not deceive you. The Great GRUNT Uprising has officially begun, and it's all kicking off at Sword Base. You play as Yap Yap's identical brother, the King Regent of this base, of which is now under attack by filthy humans, and it's your job to lead your troops into battle and drive them off. All your allies are now Covenant, and Noble Team have been replaced by high-ranking elites of various ranks. The enemies, well, like I said, are filthy humans. Elites have been replaced by randomized Spartans, male Marines are now grunts, female Marines are jackals, and hunters are none other than George himself. This mod is strange. Sprinting around at hyperspeed as a grunt, blasting Marines with a shotgun, gives you a sort of Max Payne type feeling. Well, Max Payne if he was a 5-foot-tall crustacean-like alien. And no-scoping Spartans and rocketing human-controlled wraiths is even weirder. There's just something so wrong, but also right, about watching a single grunt accomplish all these Herculean tasks. I like to think personally that this is what would have happened if Noble Team had failed at destroying the Corvette and the Covenant had taken over Sword Base. A grunt assumes command of the area because, you know, why not? But then the UNSC come and launch a strike to try and recapture the base, and this one grunt who finally, after years of war, has earned a breather, gets dragged off his throne and back into war. And you know what? He's finally snapped, and he goes full John Wick mode on his invaders. You know what? That's my headcanon now. Oh, and something that I didn't mention, he can also pilot any vehicle he wants, because of course he can. The same, however, cannot be said for Elite Cat. You know, I had a small, tiny, minuscule shred of hope that maybe, just maybe, now that Cat was an elite, she'd maybe be able to drive like a semi-competent being, but of course the answer to that question is no. She cannot do that. I regret to inform you that the reality is actually far, far worse. I'll tell you, the first thing this grunt needs to do when he regains control of Sword Base is commission Elite Ultra Cat some bloody driving lessons. Fingers crossed he manages to knock back the humans pretty quickly because her driving is absolutely not getting any better. And for our penultimate mod of the day, we have a small group of 5 custom vehicles created by YumiBot that come in all shapes and sizes, as you can see. First off, we have the motorcycle. It's the body of a mongoose, but the wheels of a motorcycle, as you can tell. Now, as far as I can tell, this thing goes about as fast as a mongoose, but the handling's like a little bit different considering it only has half the wheels. But despite that, I actually found this thing really oddly fun to like just zoom around Blood Gulch on. There's something about the size and chunkiness of it that made it feel like the motorcycle from Death Stranding. But as far as I know, only don't need any packages delivered right about now. Now all we need is somebody to mod in a Winchester 1886 that we can fire one-handed while driving, and we'll basically be playing Terminator on a Halo. I mean, that's a pretty good combination if you ask me. Next up, we have a gun goose, but trust me, this gun goose has spent the last 8 years overdosing on anabolic steroids. As you can see, it has 2 massive turrets strapped to the front as opposed to the usual assault rifles, and this increase in lethality makes a massive difference. This thing absolutely shreds through vehicles, from the smaller, weaker ones like Warthogs and Revenants and Ghosts, to the stronger ones like Scorpions and even Wraiths, even when hitting their strongest areas. This right here is the true Chad of the Gun Goose family. Then we have a variant of both the Warthog and the Off-Road with a mounted turret on the back, which at first, you know, might not seem like that much, but if you happen to go somewhere kinda low-key and you want to get rid of any evidence that you were there, well, worry no more. Just yank the turret off the back and pump the truck full of lead, and you're golden. And finally, we've already covered the Chad of the Gun Goose family. Now it's time for the Chad of the Pelican family, the Rocket Pelican. The standard reach Pelican is, you know, really lacking in firepower, so YumiBot decided to make its day and give it an upgrade. Each wing is now armed to the teeth with dual missile pods, allowing for 12 missiles to be fired in one go. On top of the increased speed this Pelican seems to have as well, and also the little Easter egg flip string that I'm sure we're all familiar with by now, these missiles make it a true force to be reckoned with, and strafe runs are easier than ever. Just one thing, right? So be careful if you fly this thing at top speed and also fire it at the same time. This thing is so fast that it can almost outrun the missiles that it fires. And you know, we don't want any mistakes were made situations, now do we? And now, for the final mod of the day, something people have been begging for since 2014 with the original release of MCC, classic menus. Right, well, okay, so clearly these aren't full classic menus, but it's amazing what a difference just simply changing the background can have on a menu, and also the sound effects too. I changed the menu sound effects back to the classic ones, which I much prefer over the new ones, using Spartan 277's classic Menu SFX pack. And honestly, it's amazing what a huge difference something as seemingly small as that can have. I will forever stan the Bungie menu sound effects. But yeah, I have a few custom menus to show off, starting with the true Chad of the main menus, Halo 2's. I'm not going to say much about these menus because, I mean, I don't think I really need to. I'm just going to let the footage roll for a few seconds so you can just sit back and let the nostalgia pass over you like a nice, beautiful wave. And on the topic of nostalgia, people said that they missed the classic Reach main menu. Well, this is about as close as I think you're ever gonna get. Okay, so they're all well and good, but let's take a look at some real custom menus. How about this comfy, albeit laggy, menu of Reach being glassed? You know, there's something really soothing about watching a planet get turned to molten glass and having its entire population vaporized. And these final two come with custom intros as well, so I'll just let these bad boys roll.
Not yet.
Notice how this is like slightly animated? It's a pretty cool effect. I really like it. But this one, to me, is the creme de la creme. I actually think that this shot from Starry Night fits a main menu, like, surprisingly well. I'm kind of surprised it's never been used before for, like, anything. And it's one that I would actually consider using beyond a showcase. In fact, I think I might just keep it on for the time being. And so, those are all of today's mods. A nice mix of custom, cursed, epic, nostalgic, and useful, and if you ask me, that's the perfect concoction of mods. Like I said at the start, if you want to download any of these mods, the link to them all can be found in the description. But this video's already gone on far too long, so let's bring it to a close there. I hope you guys enjoyed yet another iconic Halo Reach mod showcase. I want to give a massive thank you to all of my amazing patrons for their continued support into the new year, the year of Halo Infinite, as we're now calling it, and thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.